Welcome back, Cornhole family, to another episode of the BigAsp Cornhole podcast. As always, Sean and Dane are with you. What's going on, man?
Dude, we sound so good.
Okay,
And it only took about 5 hours
Jesus,
to get
my
this
God.
shit working.
This better turn out as audio gold because I'm telling you what, like the amount of shit we had to go through just to get this shit up and running. I don't know. We don't know what the issue
Yeah,
was,
I mean, all of a sudden my computer crashed, it came back on, and
and it
everything was
worked.
working.
I mean,
I don't
sometimes you
know,
just need
man.
to restart the
I
motherfucking
don't
computer.
understand it.
I don't understand how we're not like super. You're way more tech savvy than I am. I don't understand how we didn't think of doing that first. That would have been me. I would have come over here and be like, "Well, did you try to restart the computer?" And you would have gotten pissed.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. I like literally like I shut down my computer every time I'm done using it because I don't like to just leave it open like that. So I had already like
I mean, for
restarted.
all of you, because listen, I get super frustrated when we get feedback and I go to listen to it and there's that crackling crap and all that stuff. So we have been doing research all week. I went out and we got new equipment. It all got delivered. Everything was working great. We added all these filters to the sound, so the sound should be perfect. And then we get here and we're ready to record and nothing.
Yeah,
Just fucking nothing.
had
Like,
gone through, tested everything, worked
I
fine.
mean, we couldn't even we could forget about YouTube for a second. We couldn't even get GarageBand, like our just the normal editing. We couldn't even pull that up.
Yeah,
It wasn't working.
it was
And
rough.
then the best thing in the world happened. Your computer like
It
crashed.
crashed, and
It
then
came back and it all fucking
turned
worked.
back on, and
So
guess
we'll
what?
do that. Okay, well,
All's good.
let's get. I'm ready. I need this
Yeah, we
beer
have
more
not
than
drank
anything. So
yet.
Dane, do what you do. Let the folks know what we're sipping on at home in a segment we call "What You Drinking."
What you drinking?
Ooh, Mickey sounding
Oh,
crisp.
real crisp. Well, guys, this is brought to you by our friends at Local Bags Company. It's Black Friday week. It's get ready, start opening up those wallets, and Local Bags are going big for everyone out there. You can get 20% off all orders when you use code BigAsp20, and it lasts only through Black Friday. So guys, take advantage. 20% off. That means you're getting some bags. What, $40, $45?
Something like that. Yeah.
I mean, that's unheard of nowadays. Um, so top to bottom, they have every kind of bag choice for every kind of thrower. Their new pro resin, I kid you not, it is so money. So do yourself a favor.
A lot of research went into that
Dude,
resin.
yeah, I'm telling you, the resin is it's next level. I mean, it makes these bags so hole friendly.
Listen, you're gonna see us at the upcoming regionals throwing a little local bag.
100%. And it's primarily because of that resin in it. I love it. I love all the speed choices on his bags, and every bag feels similar in your hand, which
And the ACL, I don't know if you noticed, they were sharing a highlight video of Mr. Adam Hissner. He's been throwing local bags for quite a while.
yeah.
It seemed to work for him
and
pretty
he's
well. So.
pretty darn good at it.
Yep.
So yeah, Pro Blend resin, best in the biz, folks. All right, do yourself a favor, use code BigAsp20, and it'll get you 20% off through Black Friday at localbagscompany.com.
Local bag company. No S.
Localbagcompany.com.
Boom. All right, let's get to the most important part.
Yes, I know. We've been waiting so long for this, but John,
We were
gotta-
so frustrated with all the
I
with
know,
all the
we
mic
didn't
stuff.
even-
We
we weren't even
didn't even
drinking.
drink. This is literally our first sip of beer of the
Mm.
day. Why are you snuck one while he was doing the live read?
So, Great Lakes came out with another banger. This one's called Dank Demon. It's an Imperial Dank IPA, and it is dank. 70 IBUs, 8% alcohol by volume.
Go and get the job done.
Oh, it's going to go through real quick. There's only 4 of these, but then we got a backup stash of some Thirsty Dog, 12 Dogs of Christmas down here, so that'll get us through the rest of the night.
Perfect.
Hells yeah.
All right, well, Cornhole peeps, we obviously truly have some audio gold planned for you all today. We're going to recap the ACL action over this past week. We have bags to review. Up today are 3 series of bags by Magnum Cornhole. And then we're going to be joined by ACL PDC player and owner of Magnum Cornhole, Mr. Matt Allen. But before we jump into all that, we'll bring you what's going on in our Cornhole lives in a segment we call In and Around the Hole.
Brought to you by Airwolf Athletics, helping athletes become the alpha in all aspects of life. As you can see if you're watching on YouTube, I'm starting at the top with this sexy Airwolf Athletic lid and then working my way down. If you if you visit airwolfathletics.com, you can use code BIGASP, it'll get you 10% off.
At this point in your life, if you haven't added a set of the sexiest bags around, you're doing something wrong. That's right, folks. It's Blackjack Cornhole. You get free shipping, amazing customer service. It's really a no-brainer. So stop what you're doing and go grab your gear from blackjackcornhole.com. And as always, code BigAsp is going to save you 10%.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Did you throw it all this week?
I had League.
Okay.
Always,
Better than the week before?
it was.
Okay.
Not by much, but it was still better. I had some better games for sure. So
Raising the bar.
yeah, it was a weird night because the boards that we were warming up on were pretty slick, and then we were playing on boards that were not at all.
Okay.
And then they started speeding back up, so we were like kind of all over the bag world. We went from like, I think it was, we started off with Dark Slides, switched to Vikings, and then Eric just found it with Vikings. So we were just like, all right, let it ride. I was pretty much throwing Slick Side down for a bunch of that because it was so slow. But Eric on a tacky board, I mean, good God, that kid's roll game is getting really, really good.
Yep, about the most opposite of my game you can ever get to is Eric Anderson. I minimum time throwing this week. Really just busted out these Magnum cornhole bags, which I am a fan of. So just busting those out, doing a little work on the boards. I did finally get my set of boards back to work. Thank God, because the weather's getting a little shit. So at least, Wednesday before work, I typically can get 30 minutes for throwing in. Unfortunately, I mean, well, not unfortunate, but most of that 30 minutes is typically spent by me throwing the bags that we're going to be coming up to review. So I don't get to actually work on throwing bags I typically like, but bags I've been liking so far, I am liking the local legend, local outlaw. Those are kind of right up my alley. So
Yeah, I'm there with I love the Challenger still, and actually I'm starting to become a little more privy to the Outlaw with you, which I think is weird because isn't
it's
the Legend a
controllable.
little bit, is the Legend faster?
I thought so.
Okay,
but
yeah, it's hard when I'm throwing on all these different
yeah,
speed boards all the time. But yeah, I mean I think we'll find one for the two of us easily.
I did want to give we haven't done this yet. I did want to give a quick four baggers and football update. Okay, this is the fantasy football league that we have going with several ACL pros and just some cornhole savants around the country. Currently sitting on top of in the standings is Jay Corley. He's sitting there at 8-3. We were tied going into this week. I actually lost, so I dropped. I'm in second place at 7-4. There are two other teams at 7-4, Sean Duggar and Jordan Power. They're 7-4, but they have 150 less points than me, so it's a weak 7-4 if you ask me. Then you have Dane. Okay, you're sitting in fifth place
God damn
at
it.
5-6.
I had so much promise early.
Along with Ryan Smith and Eric Anderson's team. Jesus Christ, this kid I didn't think was gonna win a fucking game all year.
Hey,
But he got hot. I mean, he's won 3 or 4 weeks in a row, so he's actually climbed back in it. I think he's just one spot outside the playoffs. Top 6 make the playoffs. He's close. And then you have Timmy Jonas, who's obviously just too busy making TikTok videos, and Mr. Blackjack Cornhole. They're both sitting at 4 and 7. And then you have ACL pro Kevin Allen, who should probably just stick with Cornhole because he is a lousy 3 and 8.
he's got a lot of stuff going on.
He does.
Right?
He does. And his team sucks. But besides that. Okay, so news around the ACL. So this past weekend, the West Conference had their conference event.
Taken to the West Coast.
Yep, so I don't think we do a good enough job highlighting talent from across the country.
In our defense, this is one of the first times that I've seen a lot of live feeds from coming out of the West Coast.
Listen, and it's hard too when obviously we don't really get to see those players in person that often. We've interviewed a few West Coast guys. I've been a big fan of Deviant Parent. I think that there are potential. They have the potential to make a big splash. Potential top 10 team. They're close. They just haven't really quite gotten there. But I wanted to kind of use this episode as a highlighting point on who performed well, some names to kind of watch out for as we enter into this ACL season. Yeah. The first name it has to come up, right, is Moses Zazueta.
You said that beautifully the first time. You nailed it.
He's a new ACL pro. He's one of the juniors that were selected. He won the overall singles title in a tough match over Brevin Valdivia. Listen, I watched a bunch of his live streams. I went back and watched several of his singles match. I watched the match where he beat out, was it Nate Long, I want to say? I think it was Nate Long. It was a really good match. He he impressed me because as such a young dude, he has all the shots, right? He can hit a cut and he can hit a roll, and he hit those shots when he needed to. He didn't overdo it though.
There's one guy that he really reminds me of who's also a big up and comer. He's done well around here, and that's Noah Almanza.
Yeah.
Their games are very very similar, and I watching Moses, I was like, man, if those two would play together, oof, that would be a nasty.
Yeah,
little
so I
duo
was
there.
super impressed. When he had a four bag, he stroked. When he kind of created a messy board for himself, he was able to go around bags. He had a one really timely roll shot in the I think it was the bracket finals, the first game of his double dip that he had to pull off. But it's super impressive. And then going up in the overall finals against Valdivia to come out as the winner. I mean, there was a pretty big crowd there. I know he had a bunch of family support. The kid really impressed me. I know he wanted it. His brother was kind of in the spotlight a little bit last year, made some noise with who was his partner? I think it was Lopez. Yep, I think it was
Yeah.
Lopez. His older brother, Peter Jr., who also had a really nice weekend. He lost in the finals of his bracket to Valdivia, so we were one game short of having
The brothers,
the brothers
face
face off. That would have been kind of
off.
cool.
That would be
but
cool.
Brevin, I watched one of his matches. He's throwing zero gravity bags. He's throwing a carpet bag. He throws that bag so fucking hard.
Yeah,
It's
he
unreal.
throws a mean, like
He
real
really
mean.
does. I mean, it is low and hard. I mean, there's no finesse in that. I mean, he was able to hit some cuts and rolls and push shots and everything, but it's just a different style that he's playing. I'm gonna be interested to see how if that works overall in his favor. Like, are we gonna see him finish? Because he's been like a top 30 player, right?
Mhm.
I thought he had the potential to be top 10. He was kind of right around 15, and then he kind of fell back after the first two nationals. But again, I think he has that potential to be top 15. Can he make that jump going from 30 to 15, which I think sometimes can be that hardest leap?
Well, I mean, maybe it's that Neptune bag that's going to get him there.
Maybe.
Could be the bag.
It could
You
be.
never know.
It could be. All right. Doug Zaft, Bill Hadley. I'm on record from last year saying that these guys kind of came out of nowhere, just showing again that I wasn't aware of how much talent there was, or I wasn't aware of like the best talent in certain areas. These two, when they play together in doubles, something just
Yeah,
clicks.
they're doubles team, man. I mean, like they're one of those few teams that we see who, yeah, maybe they don't have the repertoire for singles, but anytime that they're together in doubles, they have that chance to make a deep run. I mean,
What I want to know is now they've both had some success singles. All right, so Hadley won senior singles
mhm.
last year. Zaft made a few decent runs at nationals. At this event, Zaft made it pretty far. I think he took like maybe third in his bracket or something like that. So he had a nice showing. But what I would be interested, because Zaft and Hadley have been so dominant over there on the West, in doubles, is there a difference with arm outside and arm inside PPR when they're playing singles? So I know Hadley, I believe he typically throws arm inside. Zaft throws arm outside. When they're playing singles, is there a big difference? Is that where the success is different? Like they could just both kind of lock in on that one side and then they just crush.
very well could be. I mean, that might be something. Maybe you got a little homework over this long weekend.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if that's gonna go. But they beat out. I think it was who did they beat out? Andrew Labrador and Nick Williams, maybe. I think it was. I think that's who they beat out in doubles.
Okay.
Both those guys had very nice weekends. A few other names that one of the names that I was super impressed with was Kevin Ellis. He's a new ACL pro. What I liked about him is that he doesn't throw like a super pretty bag, but he doesn't try to get cute. He's just trying to put bags in the hole. He has a really good airmail. He throws a slick bag. He's another ultra guy. I believe he was throwing either Vipers or Viper C's. It looked like. But yeah, he impressed me, and him and his partner, Greg Cather, they had a really nice run of doubles as well.
hmm
Those two, I think they're pro partners this year. If they're pro partners this year, again, they might be that team out of nowhere that they might, make a deeper run than you might expect, especially when you get into that four brackets.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's
All it takes is one decent draw.
yeah, one good
And you
draw.
can make some noise. And listen, if you find yourself in the semifinals, anything can happen at that
To
point.
me, it's once you reach that point, it's anybody's game. I don't care who you're facing. Anyone can have an off game. on those big stages.
Yep. I'm trying to think who else.
I see your note here that you thought that Valdivia and Parent would have done a little bit more in doubles.
I don't know. I thought
mean,
they would have been maybe the favorites.
They're kind of the name.
I mean,
honestly.
well, listen. I mean, Zapp and Hadley have been there, done that last year. I don't know. I would have just thought going in that they might have been the betting favorite. Another team that I thought would have been, pretty. I wouldn't have been surprised if they won was Hunter Thorne and Ballard. I thought that their games would have matched up very well, but again, they both play like that block roll, real try to muddy up the board a little bit. They play decent, but again, I just thought that maybe we would have seen somebody else besides Zapp and Hadley.
Yeah.
But again, those two, you pair them up. I mean, you made a believer out of me. Like going into the first national, they have to be one of the teams that you're watching out for.
And they're not fancy.
No,
they're not fancy.
Nope.
Put bags in the hole, and they're really good at it.
They're a team that I want to get on the show sometime soon.
I mean, honestly, we had the pleasure of talking to them at Worlds last
Correct.
year. Very nice guys.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a hell of an interview.
Yeah,
so.
I want to get them on the show. Just again, I want to start shining some more light across the country. Obviously, we're pretty heavily Northeast based.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of East Coast guys.
The
bunch of teams
time
from
difference
Florida.
is hard because we always record at night too. So like we're asking people in California like, hey, can you just skip dinner and
Yeah.
come record with us?
Yeah, come on, we'll have some
It's
fun.
fun.
At least they get to go to bed at a reasonable time. So
That's true.
The one thing I thought was impressive. So obviously we noted that Moses won advanced singles. Why is it that we continue to see young players have so much success at these like early open events? Is that foreshadowing for what is to come, or is that just luck of the draw? Like, what do you think it is?
I think young guys kind of take.
Are they hungrier?
Exactly. I think they're a little more hungry when it comes to these local events to kind of show that they're the best in the area. And the season pros, I feel like they're going to come on strong once the nationals hit.
That's what I was going to
Because
say.
that's what they're playing for.
Do you think? I think there's certain players, like I think a Mac guy, any competition he enters, he's got that killer mentality. He wants to go and win. I think you would say that about a lot of like the very top tier ACL pros.
Yes.
All right. Trey Birchfield might not say more than 3 words, but every tournament he goes to, he wants to win. Is it some of these guys?
But he's
that
one
are
of those
like,
young ones. I mean,
yeah,
you got to put him in,
that's true.
that category.
I mean, it's just fun. It's funny to me that just to see how much young talent. I mean, is a good thing.
Yes.
If I were, I mean, listen, I made a decision a long time ago saying I'm never gonna go pro. I know that. Like I don't have enough time to practice. These guys are ridiculously good. Some of the shots and how creative they're getting with this
Well,
game.
they're committed, and they have, like you said, they have the time to practice. They have.
It's the mental grind,
Yeah,
though,
it's the
with some of
grind.
these guys, and to follow suit and to play smart. And that's what Moses really impressed me with, was the fact that he didn't overuse shots that he had in his arsenal. He used them when they were appropriate. 9 out of 10 times, though, the most appropriate shot is just going down the middle.
Yep.
Put bags in the hole. But, if every once in a while a bag gets out of your hand and you're presented with a scenario where, a roll shot is the most appropriate thing, and you can hit it, I mean, that's what hitting timely shots is where you're going to have the most
to me,
success at a
that's
national
what
event.
makes them pros, because like I know when I'm like stroking and just putting bag after bag, that one time that I go to throw, a cut shot or something, I usually leave it too far off to the right, just because I'm not used to throwing it.
I mean, that's just hours and hours of repetition.
Yeah, absolutely.
And muscle memory and just being able to do that kind of stuff. I mean, it's impressive. So hats off to everybody out there. It looked like they had a great turnout.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's
Cornhole's
tons of
growing,
live
man.
streams. Keep it coming. Like
Yeah,
I
love
love picking it up and just seeing. Like I usually don't watch them live. I like to wait till they're, finished and then go through and watch them
Yeah.
after that.
I'm the
But
same way.
I love having just cornhole content every weekend.
You know who I'm becoming a pretty big fan of his commentary is Mark Pryor from Ultra.
Yeah.
I think he does
he's
a really good job. Yeah, he's actually kind of sneaky funny.
Mm-hmm.
I got to meet him at Rock Hill last
He
year.
reminds me a little bit of Dave Weiser.
Yeah,
Right?
actually, very much so. A little dry personality, a little bit, but he can get you with the one-liners every once in a while. I went up to him at Rock Hill and introduced myself. He pretended like he didn't know who I was. We all know that's a joke. I also reminded him that I had emailed him like 14 times and he had ignored me. And he proved that by pulling up his email and they're all there.
It's because you kept asking for Series Vipers, and he's like, they're gone.
No, I wanted to get him on the show when last year when Ultra was like the big story because they were raising up their prices of bags. They were the first ones to do it. I wanted him to come on and defend Ultra. I still wanted to get on. I think the way he develops bags and the way he thinks about it from his background in engineering, I think he's like an aeronautical engineer or something. If that, I mean, I think that is super interesting. Just being a bag nerd, I would love to get on and just talk, and and he also is one of the biggest group of sponsored players. What does he look for when he's sponsoring a player? I'd love to get him on. So Mark, if you happen to listen to this, man, I'm gonna reach out to you again. Let's get you on the show. let's get you, Zav and Hadley on. I think
that'd be heck yeah, I'd be down for that.
A nice balance, if you would. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump over to the bag review, I guess.
Let's do it.
All right.
Heck yeah.
The bag review, as always, is brought to you by Bagsboard, the maker of the original Cornhole bag backpack. Now offering a build-your-own feature that has over 10,000 combinations to choose from. Need patches to go on that sweet-ass bag? Bagsboard has some of the best around. Visit bagsboard.com and grab yours today. And if you happen to be watching on YouTube, I am actually dripping in Bagsboard swag today.
Yes,
I got my
you are.
new freaking hat, which is beautiful, and I got my new Hitting That Honey Hole shirt on. Thank you very much, Mr. Nick Feinstein. Appreciate you, brother. Always going to support the sponsors. I actually ordered this stuff, and like 5 minutes later, he's like, I'm not taking your money. I'm like, yes, you are. I'm allowed to support the people who support us.
Exactly.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into this. Now, we have actually reviewed two of these bags before. The Sword and Shield and the Double Slick. So we'll go with those next, but they have made subtle changes. Let's go with the Magma first. This is the new bag to the lineup.
Yes.
Really nice.
It is very nice. And
a control bag, I would characterize
the
it
first thing that I love about this company is 100% unique materials.
Yep.
Across the board, all these bags have unique stuff that you're not going to find on other bags. So getting into this Magma, I mean,
does this kind of a little bit, and I know it's not the same materials, does it kind of remind you of like a fire control a little bit?
A little bit. When I first felt it, it actually reminded me of, do you remember the money bags, carpet bag?
Yeah.
That came out of that linen feel?
Yep.
I felt like this was just like a kind of a faster version of that, if you will.
Yep.
But it did surprise me on the speed. A little bit. Sean's pulling out the pamphlet that comes with these. So first thing to note, whenever you order Magnum bags, these things come in the most professional packaging of all time.
It's crazy.
He
really is.
does a phenomenal job of selling like the look of the bags and everything. I mean, it comes in a very cool looking package. It's got a little sheet in there with all the speeds and everything, and
it's really well done.
Nuances in the bag. But get into the bag itself. So, what do you got for speeds on this one, Shawnee?
So slow side, I would say, is like a 5.6.
Yeah.
Slick side, like an 8.
Yeah.
Maybe
I think
7, 8. I mean, just
as
depends.
it breaks down, I think it's going to get a little bit slower.
A little bit textured, but I liked it. I really like the slow side of this material.
Yeah.
I like the fill. The one thing that I like that he is consistent with all of his bags across the board, right? So if you look at one side, you're going to notice that there's like kind of like a white shadowy background, and then the other side there's a black shadow background. The white side is always the slow side. The black side is always the slick side, which I like. I like when people are, bag makers are consistent with something.
Yeah.
It's a subtle nuance, but it makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it just helps you kind of learn the bag a little bit faster. Go back to the fill. It feels like it's universal.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
So this bag can get a little bit of a bounce to it.
It's
just
not.
because of
It's
it,
not
but it's
super
not,
tiny though. It's like that medium fill.
Yeah. It's a good size, but it's a good full bag in your hand.
This bag will move though.
Yes.
The slow side material will still grab the board. This is their slowest of the pro stamped bags.
Yes.
Okay. They tend to be a little bit faster bags, but if you're looking for something that's kind of controllable, you like a Kill Shots 357. You like maybe like a fire control. I'm trying to think what else kind of falls in there. It's not surefire material.
No.
It is like it's almost like it's similar to a micro suede, but not quite. It's more synthetic than that. I don't even. This is it's a unique material. We haven't seen this on another. It reminds me definitely of sitting on a couch.
Yes. Yeah,
It's definitely some sort of like a upholstery type
feel
feeling. The other side, it's like
it kind of reminds me
reminds
me a little bit of like RPG.
I was just gonna say it's like a poor man's RPG.
Yeah.
Almost like if it was like flipped. It's definitely not as stiff though.
No,
or
not
as
at all.
thick.
Like
this stuff breaks in
ready
pretty
to
quick.
grip.
Again, we're talking like 30-40 minutes of me throwing these, and I mean they were already.
They're slinky
Yeah.
for sure. Seam work on these, very, very nicely made bags across the board.
Mhm.
He's got a long finishing seam, but it's very high up
Yes.
on the bag, so like you don't get that pucker at all in your hand, so you can really throw this seam in, seam out. You won't really feel much of a difference
All
on
these
it.
bags, at least the Magma and the Double Slick, they play pretty big. I mean, they're rounded template, but it's
It's a big template.
it's a squared bag with the corners are very rounded, but it plays very very big.
Yeah.
Which again, a bag like this when you just want to maximize surface area that you're on the board. I mean, I thought it was smart.
Yeah, if you
So
want it to grab the hole and fall on in.
so design score, where are you going?
Design score for me, I love the blue color.
Yeah, I like the
on
color
it.
on this one. Yeah, I'm
It's
with you.
not like crazy flashy, but I don't think that's what he's going for. He's kind of just going for just run of the mill, like in the box. That's what you get. So I mean, for me, I'm still gonna go with 65 on it.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. I'm back and forth. Like sometimes I don't like a bag when it's too busy. I like when it's clean looking. I do like the color scheme. I like the font.
Yes.
Is that weird?
You know, it's
Um,
not.
I'm gonna go with 73.
And I think the ACL will love it because these are the biggest stamps we've seen on any
Right.
bag so far.
I'm glad
They're
you said that.
monstrous.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
mean, it's-
know it's an ACL Pro stamp bag, and they are
Yeah.
proud of it.
Hell yeah.
Performance wise, I like this one. Again, it's not a carpet bag. It still slides pretty nice, but you can cut and roll. I mean, it's not like I don't think it slides quite as well as like a 357 does. I didn't get to try it out in a whole bunch of different conditions. It's pretty dry, but I mean, it moves well. I'll give it. I'm gonna give the Magma a 70,
Okay.
a flat 70.
I'm gonna go a little higher on that.
Okay.
I liked it a little bit more. I mean, both of those sides felt nice in my hand, so give me 78.
Okay. All right. So the next one is the Sword and Shield.
So this is
This
one that
is
we
a
previously had.
dual slick. I mean, I just love that he gives you like this. I mean, this
Yeah.
is just beautiful, man. It really is.
So we had previously done the Sword and Shield. Now this is the Sword and Shield Pro.
correct.
Right off the bat, I mean, it feels like the slow side is the same material that it was before.
Yes.
I mean, is the fast side the same too?
Um,
I can't really. I'm trying to remember the bag. I mean,
I do believe. I think it is. I think he changed up the fill a little bit. It feels like it's a little bit fuller.
Yeah.
Definitely feels like it's fuller. This is a bag that you pick up, and you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. All right, there's not too much of a difference feel wise in your hand between slick and slow side. When it plays, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this is just the slow side's the inverse of the slick side.
Yeah.
I'm almost
Yeah, I
positive
can
it
see
is. The slow side is oddly controllable.
Yeah, you feel like you think it's gonna be insanely fast, but I mean, I probably put it around like a 7.
7, 8. Yeah, I would. I mean, really, this is like their. I want to say like this is kind of like their all slide. Just completely different materials. We're not talking slide right material and game changer. Think it's not as elastic, but think of if you're familiar with dragon bags, like the Dragon Bag Terror.
Yeah.
The slick side is right up there with that. I would say maybe just a tick slower, and it's not as elasticy as that. But similar feel in how it plays. I mean, this is by far like the most broken end bag. I mean,
And I don't
right
think
away
he
when
has
you
to
get
do
it.
much. I think it's
No.
just those fabrics together
No.
are just very, very slinky now.
Yeah, so I would say like this slow side is like we'll call it a 7, right?
Yeah.
The slick side I'm gonna call it a 9 just because it's hard to give it.
Yeah, it's hard to give it a 10.
But I mean, it's pretty quick. It moves well. But it is for a slick bag. It's oddly controllable. It does slow down a little bit in humidity. I did notice that a little bit.
Yeah.
But overall,
But it's
I
a
was a
great
fan.
bag in humidity.
Yeah.
It's
You know
it's one that will still cut through, especially that slick side. It's not too much affected by
Yeah.
rain on the boards and
Yeah.
stuff. So I always kind of touted this as a great bag to throw in like outdoor, maybe either wet or humid conditions because it doesn't change nearly as much as some of these
No.
bags that we're seeing come out.
now the nice thing about this material is you're not going to get too many bags that are going to hang up on the edge with that.
Yes.
Just because they're just naturally a little bit. I hate using this term again, but like slicker, like you know what I mean, like the natural feel of the material. It wants to go in the hole if it's close. So, I think the fill is definitely different on it. The template of this one is maybe just a little bit smaller than the other two, a little bit fuller of a feel.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a little bit faster bag, you like a fuller feel. Sword and Shield is definitely it's unique. I mean, these are not common materials, so people are always going to come up and be like, well, what would you compare it to? It's tough, man, because
It is,
you
but
can't
and I'll tell
compare
you
it to
what, I
anything
mean,
else.
it's right up there with hole friendliness of, Broken and Vipers and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that stuff. I
it's
mean,
very nice.
if you hit the hole, man, that thing is dropping every single time.
So design score for this one.
So I always loved the design because the one side's got the shield, the other side's got the sword.
Makes
I like
sense.
the play of it. Give me an 80 on that design.
This one's actually my least favorite out of all of them. I'm gonna give this a 50.
Okay.
It's okay. I mean, it's fine. Performance wise for this, I'll let you go first since I went first last time.
I mean, I'm gonna kind of stay up there a little bit. Give me a 71 on it.
Oh wow, okay.
I mean, it's so hole friendly that like if you're just throwing it straight, you're gonna four bag for days with it.
Yeah, and I like slick bags. I'm not a huge fan of like these type materials. I have a hard time. I feel like sometimes it comes out of my hand. I can't spin it as well as I would like to because there's not as much texture to it.
Yeah.
So for this one, I'm gonna go a little bit lower. I'm gonna go like a 68. Now the next one we're gonna move on to, I'm a big fan of, and
Yes,
I
you
have
are.
been for a long time.
Yeah, you were a
Um,
fan from the original set that we
Now,
got.
going way back, if you were an OG listener of the show, Magnum bags was actually one of the first sets, like full sets of bags that we reviewed. I mean, I want to say it was within the first 10 episodes or
Oh,
so.
absolutely. Yeah.
The double slick, it definitely changes template. Um, this was, I want to say he changed. I want to say he changed maybe the slow side of the material of it. I don't recall, but this was, I believe, the fastest slow and slick side bag when they came out with last year's ratings. This year I checked out the ratings that they just posted. It seems like it slowed down a little bit. Now this fast side, the slick side, fucking moves. I mean, we're talking
It's gonna be
easy
the
nine,
one.
nine and a half. I mean,
It's one of those things that I have no problem calling a 10.
yeah. I mean, this is like a humidity killer. Like if you
Yeah.
have slow boards, bust this
It'll
bag
go
out,
right
you're not
through
gonna do
it.
anything.
Yep.
Now the slow side, I'm gonna call like an 8, so it's a little bit faster.
Yeah.
It's a more of a familiar material, but it's not what we're used to. It's not.
It feels similar to like that all slide and
It's
slide
more
right.
synthetic though. It's not.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas all slide feels much more cotton based. This is much more.
I mean, you can still see the sheen on it as
Yeah,
it just sits
it's
here.
definitely more synthetic feeling than that. So it definitely moves pretty
Yes.
well. I like the bag because again, it's pretty hole friendly right off the get go. I love the template. I like the feel of this. It's like a medium fill wise, so it's not overly full in my hand, but I mean, still plenty enough to get a good grip with it. This is a bag that I felt like I could really throw slick side 9 out of 10 times, or
Yeah.
I'm slow side, and then if I really needed to go follow up with it, I could go slick side. Like I felt very comfortable pushing a bag slow side with this. Where sometimes if I get down to like a slide right or like a surefire material or even carpet, I need a really fast slick side to go through it and be aggressive. I can't push a bag very well with that carpet side.
Hmm.
This I can stick with the slow side and do very well. I really like the template of it. Again, it plays very big.
Yes, it does.
It's a square bag, but it's just
I mean, it feels like
rounded
game
edges.
changer size in your hand.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I mean it's a
big.
pretty big bag. But overall, I this was my favorite out of all of them. It was the last time we reviewed these bags,
Yeah.
so I wasn't surprised that this was my favorite. Design wise, I actually love the design. I know it's just the name of the bag on both sides, but I like the burst. I like the color scheme that we got, like the blue and orange type style. I mean, for me, I'm gonna go with a 78 on the design for this one.
Okay, I'm gonna go 75 on it.
Performance wise, I'm going to go again dual slick bags, more right up my alley. I would feel comfortable if someone like at a blind draw said like, "Hey, you want to throw this?" Like, yeah, sure. Why the fuck not? Let's throw this. I'm gonna go with a 78.
Okay, and for me, if somebody came up to me in a blind draw and they're like, "Hey, you want to throw that?" I'll be like, "Why don't you put that back in your bag?" And we need to find something a little bit slower. But I mean, you can't knock its hole friendliness.
Listen,
Again,
the name of the bag gives it away.
yeah, I mean,
It's double slick. I mean, it's a fast bag, but it's for that purpose.
yeah, and because of that, I'm not gonna knock it too much. I'm gonna give it just a regular old 65 because its hole friendliness is still there, and if you're throwing it straight, it's not gonna not go in the hole. So, to me, yeah, I think 65 is right in my
Let
wheelhouse.
me see if I can pull if he included the. I forgot to look it up. I just wanted to take a look to see if they had it. All right, so yeah, so if you're interested in trying any of these sets, go to magnumcornhole.com. That's www.magnumcornhole.com. They have some of the best patches too. His patch looks like a Magnum condom wrapper. Fucking awesome. I love it.
Fantastic.
And I actually saw someone post a bag. I don't know if it's serious or not, but it was like the Magnum, like basically his patch but turned into a bag. I was gonna, I don't know. I'm like, that's kind of weird.
Oh.
But anyways, shameless plug time.
Famous plugs.
Reach us at Instagram and Twitter at BigAsp Cornhole.
And Facebook at BigAsp Cornhole Podcast. Thanks again to our sponsors. Visit airwolfathletics.com for all your cornhole swag. Be sure to use code BigAsp for 10% off. And localbagcompany.com for the best bags in the biz from now until the end of Black Friday.
No, you go end of Black Friday weekend.
Okay, end of Black Friday weekend. Excuse me.
Even if Chris didn't say that, we're promoting it.
We're going to promote it that way anyways. Use code BIGASP20 for 20% off and get yourself some of that Pro Blend resin, people. I'm telling you.
Bagsboard.com for the sexiest backpacks and patches in the game. And blackjackcornhole.com for the sexiest bags around. Code BIGASP can save you 10%. Be on the lookout tomorrow. We're going to open our contest up. So if you are just listening to us for the first time, go back and listen to the last 3 episodes. We dropped a word or phrase that you're going to need to know in each of those last 3 episodes, except not the last.
Don't tell them that they still need to listen to it.
So there's 3 phrases or words that you need to know. And if we select you as a winner, you need to be able to present those 3 phrases. If you don't know them, tough shit. I'm moving on to the next winner. So we're going to post details about that tomorrow. Some of the prizes include a set of BigAsp, like this fucking sexiest boards you're ever going to see, made by Cornhole Solution. Their design team
We posted them up today.
Absolutely knocked them out of the park.
Beautiful.
We're going to have a set of blackjack bags. I'm probably going to talk Chris into donating a set of local bags. But yeah, so be on the lookout. And we'll give some free shit. Oh, and obviously the grand prize, I'm going to let you pick, but you can either have a set of boards or you can be a guest host on our show. We had a blast doing it the first time.
Oh yeah.
You're part of it. You join the show.
We just throw you right into the shit.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Like you help me plan. We pick out a guest. You got to do your homework. You got to do some live reads. You'll get a little behind the scenes. The best part about being a guest host is the after the interview talk that we do.
I mean,
so I always try to get like a fun guest that I know will shoot the shit with us for a little bit, but it's a good time for sure.
Always.
All right. Well, stay tuned as we're now going to be joined by owner of Magnum Cornhole and ACL Pro Matt Allen. And yeah, I'm glad we got all this mic shit situated because we were both about to just flip the table and say, fuck it, we're done.
I mean, I was about to say it's Thanksgiving week. I don't need this. Let's just move on and not have an episode this week, but it all worked out.
As always, we hope you throw it straight, and it's nothing but 4 baggers from here on out.
Cornhole
Later.
And this interview is brought to you by Cornhole Solutions. Do you have a cornhole question? Find your answer at cornholesolutions.com. They have, I mean, we posted up some of the sexiest boards around with our logo on it, and I'm telling you what, their print's next to none. I'm sure you can find their boards at all of your local regionals across the country.
And some great bags too. They're underrated pro stamp bags.
Yeah, their bags are really, really good too. And you need score towers, pitch mats, they got it all. So
and it's going to be from Black Friday all the way through Sunday. It's 10% off everything site wise. So we're talking about professional cornhole boards, bags, anything like that. Go to cornholesolution.com and get your cornhole problem answered.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need that TV. Go get yourself a set of boards.
Absolutely. Later. Welcome back to the BigAsp Cornhole Podcast, where we are now joined by owner of Magnum Bags and ACL PDC player, Matt Allen. What's going on, man?
Hey, how you guys doing tonight?
Good, man. Thank you for joining us.
I'm excited. I like your new setup, and I'm excited to talk cornhole and talk bags with you guys.
Okay, dude. Like we were talking about before we started recording, and then in our last part, you're like an OG supporter of us. I think you sent us the bags. Like I want to say it was like one of our first 10 episodes. Like probably first 3 sets of bag. I think you were the first company that ever sent us like multiple sets. And Dane actually brought it up the last time. Your packaging When you send somebody like that is something to get excited about alone. You open up the box and it's not just like bags free floating and stuff. I mean, you have like a professional style set up. Like I appreciate that as a consumer. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome. I wanted to make sure you guys felt special because I was honored to send you bags last time, and I'm honored to send them again this time. So I wanted to have a little bit of
we
a.
didn't even know who we were yet
Yeah.
last time. So thank you. So
Still don't.
yeah, we still don't. Yeah, we're still don't.
Well, that's part of the
So
fun, finding out your role in all this, right?
we're trying, man. So
Yeah.
you're out in Cali, right?
Yeah, I'm out in Southern California. I'm in North San Diego County. The city's called Encinitas. We have a pretty big cornhole community here. The local crew is in Encinitas is called 4N.
Okay.
Eric Cherney, ACL Pro. I don't know if you guys talked with Eric Cherney before. He kind of helms the 4N, and then we have another group, a few cities north of us, up in Vista and Oceanside, called North County Cornhole, and Richie Morgan and Sarah and Kevin kind of helm that one, and got a great crew, got a lot of good people, a lot of good throwers, good couple of pros and PDC players, and yeah, we do well.
Your guys' weather sucks, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, it's terrible. It's tough being 72 and sunny year round,
It was like 24 degrees here, miserable. So
oh my gosh. Yeah, it was actually cold today, and it was like 68. I had to put on a long sleeve shirt.
I know, I
noticed
that. I'm
was
like,
cold.
oh, is it chilly in your house there? Like,
Yeah.
So, cornhole out west seems to be catching up pretty
Yeah.
quickly. It started off as primarily like kind of like around us, like a Midwest, and then it seemed like it spread east, and then you guys have kind of are definitely blowing it up. We talked earlier about the West Conference event that you guys you attended. How was the overall atmosphere? Looked like you guys got really good numbers out there.
Yeah, we had a good event. We had, I don't know if it was fully sold out, but it was pretty close. Richard Morgan is our conference director, and he, as usual, did a great job. Fantastic event. Great music. My girlfriend, she came out and helped man. We had a Magnum booth. She helped man the booth for the first time, and she was like, the music was great because he had a good mix of everything. So great music. Had a great center court. It was an ultra center court, and then fantastic layout. It was a great event. And the cornhole community out west, I feel like, from what I've seen in my exploring cornhole further east, but I feel like the West Conference is a pretty tight knit crew, and definitely there's a lot of up and comers coming through the West that I think you're probably seeing a little bit of Tyler Parent and Brevin Valdivia, and then obviously Doug Zaff and Bag and Bill. They've been rocking it for a while, but Bag and Bill, yeah, he throws well.
It's just unbelievable.
And then we got the young up and comers too. I know you guys were talking about Alex Hicks last week. We've got a young guy that won the singles event.
Yeah.
Moses, man, that guy can sling it, and he is the nicest kid. He's a teenager, but nicest kid out there. And
he's still a junior, so we'll call him a kid, okay.
But as a junior, he's just as good as anybody out there. And then
do you know how old is his brother?
I think Peter Jr. is 18. I'm not actually sure. I figured you guys might ask me that.
They're big fucking boys.
Yeah, they're Moses is he's tall, but he's kind of filling in a little bit.
They're both tall. Now Peter Jr. is like he's thick dude.
He's buff. He's buff.
I mean, they're both like tall dudes. Like I can't remember who I saw. Maybe I think they were taking a picture maybe it was Tyler Lopez, and maybe he's smaller, shorter, but like these dudes were towering over him. I mean, they've got to be easily over 6 foot, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, Peter and his dad are probably at least 6 foot, and Moses, I mean, I'm 5'10". He's probably taller than me now. I feel like it was like last year when we were at the Iowa Open, he was little, and now he's like he's grown up. But he's got that nice long throw.
Sean's mouth right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but that whole family, they can sling it. The two brothers and then the father, Peter Senior. I mean, they're great players and very nice people. Great cornhole family.
I'm trying to think who are some of the other big names out there. Hunter Thorne's another younger dude that's very good. I thought I like the pairing of Hunter and Ballard and doubles. I thought they play a very similar style game. They like to kind of muck up the board and throw all the fancy roll bounce shots and stuff like that.
Yeah, those guys, they like to get bags in the way and create a mess and make a slide. I'm a slide guy myself usually. My airmail's getting better, but they try and make me work for it, So yeah, they have a very similar style.
I like to see that game transitioning to the West Coast because primarily you guys, it was ultra bags were primarily the dominating force out there. So it's all slick bags, and then they would go up against Midwest where, Reynolds was king carpet, what I mean? So all these
Yeah.
guys who are throwing blockers were, West Coast, you might not have seen as much and have to deal with it
Yeah.
as much. So
Yeah, absolutely. We have the nice weather and the slick boards out here, so I think the slide game's kind of ruled, especially with the heavy influence of the ultra bags. But we're starting to see more of the younger. I feel like it's definitely around the country, but definitely out here, the younger players have that flop and roll game with the blocks and the airmails and whatnot mixed in there, making the rest of us change it up a little bit. So yeah.
So I don't think it's crazy to say that cornhole is in general like a pretty big part of your life, right? So
Absolutely.
you're
Yeah.
you're now an ACL pro player. You
Yeah.
are
In the
you
PDC.
own
Yeah.
you're a bag manufacturer. You're I guess a cornhole company, right? With
Yep.
Magnum.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
did you first get your start?
Yeah. My kind of like I'm assuming with you guys and Moses and Peter Jr., kind of a family thing. I'm the oldest of four boys. So my younger brother, Jeremy, and we used to play a lot in, backyard events, tailgates, and we used to throw little kind of backyard tournaments with 30, 50 people. This is maybe 12 years ago. And so that's kind of how it started. And then of course, what everyone was throwing then was just canvas, duck cloth canvas, corn-filled bags. And I looked at it like, kind of come from one of those families like, well, why buy something when you can make it and make it better? So I'm like, I'm going to start sewing bags because I know how to sew and I might as well do it. So I was making boards already. I might as well make some bags. And then we started going to tournaments when Dirty Bags Cornhole first started out with Don Cornelius, with Andrew Ellis and Mike Sorensen. We started showing up to their events and started seeing the suede and the canvas combos. I started off with making those bags, and then they were like Christmas gifts, presents for friends, and people started wanting custom orders, and it kind of progressed from that. So for about almost 6 years, I've been making bags, and then very seriously for the last 4.5 5 years. First year was kind of just figuring out how to do it and what makes a good bag, and then progressing from there. So yeah. The suede, I think, was a big revolution in cornhole in general, and then it kind of took off from there when everyone started sublimating logos and getting the different fabrics in there. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like when you decided to start up Magnum Cornhole and you're like when you're designing a bag, what do you think about? Like, is it just like materials and template, or like do you think of more of what you would like to throw as a thrower yourself?
Well, I think being that I'm a cornhole junkie as far as being a player, I think of like what am I doing, and what can't I do with the bag that I have, the bags that I've been using, whether it was the house bags that we used to play or my early like suede bags or boss bags. Like what else can I how else can I advance this and make my game better, and at that time a good player, how can I become even better? And so that's when I started thinking about slick bags. I already got a good slide game, but I need to slide more. So that's when I was coming up with the double slick, which came out right before the Viper, and that kind of whole type of bag took off, at least around here. And then from there, I'm like, well, next design, what am I going to do next? I'm like, well, I like the slide game, but I want something that's a little more controllable and a little more hole friendly. And that's when I went to the Sword and Shield, which is now the Sword and Shield Pro, and then like we were talking about a little bit earlier with the Magma, the newest bag, I wanted something, because I'm a slide guy, I wanted something that still slid, but something that I could try and learn a little bit more of the cut shot, the roll shot. Obviously blockers are key to try and slow down other slide guys. That's what I was going for there. And then the next evolution is probably going to be a true carpet bag, which I know I'll be a little late to the game on that. But like I said, it's not been my personal style, so I haven't personally had as much experience with a carpet bag. But now I'm messing around with it more and finding the advantages of that bag. So that'll be probably the next evolution of my cornhole business. Yeah.
I would think it would be smart for you to just take that badass boss bag suede
Yeah.
and just throw carpet on the other side.
Yeah.
I've been
Have
waiting for it. I want
a
a
stick
suede
on
carpet
stick.
bag.
I know
Right?
he
A
wants
stick
something
on
like,
stick.
yeah.
I want it. I want to see it.
I've had
It's all double
yeah,
stick.
yeah, that
Done.
well, that,
Listen, I just sold it. Done. All right.
yeah, there you go, boom.
Really.
let's mark it up. Yeah, no,
Mark it
there's
up.
definitely been guys joking around that I need to make a double stick for years. And honestly, there's some guys who are so good at their airmails that all they got to do is throw a block and then just some 3 airmails afterwards, and then they're done. They're going to win every round that way. So maybe there's a market for it.
It's not me.
We'll call it
It's
Dane's double stick.
correct.
I love it. If you ever mock one up, send it my way. I'll
Sure.
let you know how it plays.
I got
So
no problem with that.
I don't want this to come across the wrong way, but like, so you guys, you're relatively small fish, right? In
Sure.
like this
Yeah.
ginormous pond.
Yeah.
Was it a tough decision to decide to go the stamped bag route? Now I know putting your player aside, right? But as
Yeah.
as a business owner, was that a tough decision to make? It's like a smaller bag manufacturer.
It was something I considered, and I sat there and I thought, I mean, it was a pretty quick decision in the end, but I thought, do I want to continue doing this? Do I want to continue making bags that are thrown by the best players in the country, And the answer is yes. I want to be one of the best players in the country, and I want to make bags for the best players in the country. I like making things that other people can excel with. And so that was my answer. I was like, yes, I got to do it. And so sure, the monetary aspect, the financial aspect of it is something that I had to consider. But once I sat down and quickly looked at the numbers, I thought, you know what, this is something I can do. And it wasn't really that hard of a decision. So yeah.
Okay. I mean, I have to give you credit as a bag maker, because we review thousands of bags, obviously, on the
Yeah.
show. You were one of maybe, I would say, 3 bag makers that truly we've seen just with unique materials. So
Yeah.
I give you kudos for your R&R that you do, or R&D, I'm sorry, on your bags, because it's not every day that we see somebody come up with new unique materials, and you made them work, which is
Yeah.
it's impressive.
Yeah, I appreciate that you noticed that, because there's a lot of bags out there that use the same or very similar materials. When I used to be,
Let's call it what it is. 90% of bags, right? Well, actually, I'll go higher. I'll go 95% of bags on the market right now are made of 5, maybe 6 materials. I don't see any of those materials on your bags, which I like. I mean, it's
you
something
don't.
new. It's
Yeah,
something. It's nice. It shows
yeah.
that you're willing to step outside the box. We've always liked unique, especially. I mean, how many times are you going to see slide right on a bag, and put it with carpet? Like, it doesn't change all that much. Like, yes, I
Mhm.
know the fill matters and all that stuff, but like when it comes down to it, it's still the same old shit. I like, and we get excited when we get some unique stuff, and that's definitely what you offer.
Well, that's part of what I enjoy is doing something and doing it in my own way, in a unique way that hopefully someone else like yourself or a consumer or another PDC or pro player can appreciate. And I certainly could try and use the same fabrics, but like I said, I like you said, Dane, I do a lot of research and development went into those bags, especially the Magma. I forgot to bring them in with me, but I may have made up, and the local San Diego players can attest to it. I probably made up a dozen or more, maybe it was 16 different sample bags while I was trying these things out. And I would make up a couple sets with the different combinations and the different fill, bring them down to the local weekly. Everyone would throw them, test them out. I'd figure out what I liked, what I didn't like, and then if it didn't work, just scrap it, move on to the next thing. And finally found the fabrics that I was looking for. And I guarantee you, no one else has fabric like that Magma fabric. It's a unique fabric, and
Both sides of that
yeah.
bag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. For a reason. I wanted it to, it has some things that are similar to, some things that's different too, but I wanted it to evolve into what it became, a bag that can slide really well, but also can grip, cut, flop, roll with the best of them. And it's a very versatile bag when you know how to throw that shot. I'm not the best at those shots. I can do it sometimes, but a lot of people
I pretend
can. So,
I can.
yeah. You really get that bag angled up.
Listen,
Yeah.
1 out of 100 still counts.
Hey, my best rollback
Yeah,
still
exactly.
overhand.
Yeah.
There you go. Just the blade.
Yep.
Yeah.
Blade just rolled right up.
So, just sticking with like you as a bag manufacturer, right? Small
Yeah.
company. What do you think about the ACL's role in? So obviously you made the decision, you get your bag stamped, and we actually joked about on a review that your stamp is bigger than I've ever seen on any other bag. I mean, these are loud and proud. These are ACL Stamp Pro, which is great. What do you think about the ACL coming out and laying down the law, I guess, for lack of better terms, for policing certain issues, especially like the 30-day policy? Is that something that you like to see? Somebody that probably get your bags out the door pretty quick, I would imagine. Is that
I do,
something that
yeah.
you think should just be an accepted idea? If you're going to sign up, you just got to deal with it.
Yeah, you know what? I actually I do. I think that if you're looking at it just from a business standpoint, I see why you as a businessman you could say, well, no, I'm going to sell my bags however I want for whatever amount I want, and if it takes 6 months, I mean, I used to work at a high-end bicycle shop where we dealt with a lot of custom bicycles, and one of our dealers was out of New York, and he made the most beautiful custom titanium bikes in the world, and they were fantastic, but they would take 6, 8, 9 months to come in because that's just how popular he was. So I can understand that aspect of it, but from a growing sport that is trying to be reined in to make it more competitive and widely seen throughout the country and the world, I can understand what the ACL is trying to do. They're trying to make sure that these bag manufacturers aren't, taking advantage of anybody or kind of sullying the name of Cornhole by taking so long to get things out. And as someone who, what's on my website, what's in stock on my website is what I got on my shelf. I'm all for it. Sure, I've never had a bag take maybe a week if I'm really busy and I happen to accidentally sell a set at an event that I don't have in stock. Sure, but it's usually not. It's not usually longer than that, and typically I ship it within a day, if not less. So
I think people
I
just
think
need to
I
understand
think it's
that
fine.
we're not far off. In general, obviously, depending on regionally, it's always going to change. We're not very far off with the term cornhole and then American Cornhole League being
Yeah,
synonymous. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, like if you're in Texas, you have the TCL, which I don't think they're going to go anywhere. I think they have a big enough following where they're going to continue. There's another, the ACO. I mean, I don't know
yeah,
how long they'll be around. I mean, maybe they hold on and they keep going out, but I just think that with the ESPN contracts and NBC and all the stuff, it just cornhole and ACL, they're going to be synonymous soon enough. And I think that it's smart. It's a smart move. You know what I mean? I think that, like you said, you don't want somebody sullying the name. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Especially you could turn somebody off that's new to the sport. If they're waiting, they order something, they expect it to be there. They're excited to get it. They have no idea. If you're new to cornhole, they don't know bag wait times.
yeah,
We have Amazon where I ordered microphones. They were there the next fucking day. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like people want
yeah.
that stuff. I mean, we're instant gratification. You know what I mean? That's what we're all about here in the great country of USA. I think
USA.
that's a big
Well,
part of it.
I mean, like to me, I kind of felt like that whole like 30-day thing was there was kind of this like I'm blanking on the word, but like I guess like script of these bag makers that maybe like they were using bag releases as like a GoFundMe almost, and like then you'd like have to wait 6 months to finally get them.
Well,
So I feel
it's
like
just a
maybe
different business model.
yeah. So like I mean I kind of think like maybe that's what they're trying to get away from as opposed to like bag makers needing to release and bring money in to be able to afford the materials to make it. Maybe they just want their bag makers to be able to have the materials ready to rip and then make the bags and sell them that way.
Yeah.
Which I
Well,
think, man,
I
to me,
think from
it's
if you think of the ACL as kind of like the management. Sorry, go ahead.
no, no,
No,
you're
you're
good.
good. You're good.
Oh, a little glitch there. Sorry. Yeah, if you
Oh,
think
you're
of
good.
the ACL as like the management, I think they want their suppliers, which I guess would be the board and bag manufacturers in particular, to be able to get the product out to the consumer as soon as possible, because then everybody is going to allow that allows the sport to grow. And like you kind of said a few minutes or a few seconds ago, if someone's new to the sport and they're like, is this how it is for everybody? I got to wait 2 months for bags. That may dissuade them from buying even more bags, going to ACL tournaments. So I get it, and frankly, I never had a problem with it, because for me, I've never operated the other way where I've
Yeah.
taken pre-orders. I've never done pre-orders. I just have it ready to go and ship, and if I don't have it ready, then I just have it out of stock on the website, and that's just how I've always operated, and will always operate that way. So I have happy customers. So
Honestly, if it takes longer for me to get my bags as opposed to the custom golf clubs that I just got, which are going to be here in like 2
You got
weeks.
custom velcro?
Yeah.
I did, yeah. That length, everything. I need new
Nice.
irons, you know.
Nice.
What do you mean? All right. Well, all right. Anyways, all right. So let's switch gears. All right. So we talked about you as a bag manufacturer. I want to get
Yeah.
into more of you as a player, right? So you
Sure.
established that you were a backyard scene for a while. You started getting it more serious. When you decided to take this serious, right?
Yeah.
When did you first realize that, hey, I'm pretty good at this? And then how much work do you put into it currently? Like practice routines, like how often do you practice, how often do you play, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think I, recognized pretty early on that I have a knack for it. Like I think a lot of us do. We start playing with our brothers, we start playing with our friends. And then if you're winning all the time, then you kind of realize that maybe I'm a little better than everyone else. And that's when my brother and I would start going to these tournaments. And we, at first, back then, six years ago, you'd go to a tournament and then there wasn't going to be one for like 3 months, until the next
Yeah.
Dirty Bags tournament. So we'd get fifth place, we'd do okay out of 32 teams, would come in fifth, maybe win a few bucks, feel good about ourselves, and then go, okay, we're going to get them next time. And then we wouldn't play for 3 months, and then we get seventh, and then ninth, and we're like, okay. And that's at that point I was kind of like, if I enjoy this sport so much that I was practicing on my own, I'm like, I need to play more. And so that was probably about 4 years ago. I started trying to make it to all those Dirty Bags events, and then once weekly leagues started coming up, trying to make it to all those weeklies. So transition to now, maybe in the last 3 years, especially the last 2 years, but in the last 3 years, started taking it more seriously, attending all the weeklies that I can. And at this point, with me working as an emergency room provider and a bag manufacturer and cornhole company, and also trying to be a cornhole pro, it's kind of like 3 full-time jobs. So I play as much as I can, which if I make it to 2 weeklies, I'm super happy. And then I usually practice at least twice a week, either on my own or with a couple of the local PDC and pro players that happen to be a couple blocks away from me or just the next town down. We get together and play, and that's obviously really good because playing against some other top level players is always a good way to practice. So
I mean, I
yeah.
think I don't think you get much argument for many players saying that if you have the opportunity to play against somebody else of similar skill level or even
Yeah,
better than you, that's gonna be the fastest way to get better. But if you don't have
absolutely.
that luxury of playing against somebody all the time and you find yourself practicing by yourself, do you have a set routine that you typically tend to follow?
Yeah, what I've done various things. I feel like I kind of fluctuate between playing like a ghost game where I'll start off and I'm just going to play Ghost 9 and see how I do, which usually the first game doesn't go very well, and then I'll try and work my way up from there. What I've been doing more recently is I'll throw a deck around. I'll just set up the boards and I'll just go straight to a deck around and then see how I do. And then I'll usually switch to a different one of my bags just to mix it up and throw another deck around, and always track the numbers, kind of see where I'm at.
Does it matter
And
how
then
you
I'll
start off?
yeah, yeah. If I start off cold, then it's all about like trying to push everything into the hole, and it's actually good. Sometimes those first rounds you throw a 4, or you're like first round and you have 2 hang, and you're like, well, I'm gonna airmail drag that, and then you throw it off the back and you get a 2, or you get a 5. That's a hard way to start a deck around when you're for me, I'm trying to hit 100 or more every time, which I'm usually around that. High 90s to 110 is kind of my average deck around in the backyard. And so if I miss it early on, then it's like it really helps me focus to really put all those bags in the hole, which is key. And I think it helped
It's
me
just
this
funny
last weekend for
because
sure.
we interviewed a while back now. It had to be over a year ago. We had Frank Modlin on, and he told us off
Mhm.
air. We asked him his practice stuff, and he said that he doesn't start counting a deck around until he hits 4 4-baggers in a row. So like, and then
Oh, so he's
then
warmed up.
curious, yeah. So once he gets those first 4 rounds, all 4-baggers, then okay, that's when his deck rounds started counting those first 4 rounds. You know what I mean? But like, he doesn't start
Yeah.
counting until he gets those down. I just found that funny. Um, let me
Yeah,
ask you.
I think
So,
it's everyone's got their own routine. Yeah, go ahead.
oh, absolutely. So, all right. So you established yourself, like you were better than all your friends. You get to this point where you want to become an ACL pro, right? So last year there was a bunch of different ways you could have tried to become pro. Did you play in the qualifier first?
I did. I played in the qualifier. Yeah.
How did you do in the
And
qualifier?
obviously did not qualify. I started off like red hot. I was 3-0. I was the most focused. I mean, I told my family when I got home, like it was the most focused I've ever been at a sporting event. And I think I put too much pressure on myself. I lost a game to Josh Holland, who went
Oh,
8-0 on the day. So that was obviously a tough game. And then won another one. So I was 3-1. Okay. And then I went 4-4 because I think I,
okay.
I exhausted myself mentally, just mentally and emotionally. That day was brutal by the end of it. And so I think that taught me that I need to have a little more fun along the way. It's okay to try some airmails. I don't have to push through
Yeah.
every BG block that someone throws in front of me.
So you get okay. So you didn't make it through the qualifier. You tried it,
Yeah.
and then there's this application process, which
Yeah.
last year, and there were the amount of talent and some of the names that were in this application pool was ridiculous, right? So
Mhm.
you had limited amount of spots for players accepted. What was your initial thought that when you're reading, right? So you get this email and it says, "We're sorry, blah 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 blah," right? So your heart probably sinks, but then
Mhm.
there's like, "But wait, there's more."
Yeah.
And you find out that there's this PDC, which they hadn't really explained much before any of this.
Yeah.
What was your initial feeling about this? Were you listen? We've heard it all over the spectrum. We've heard people were pissed. They're like, what the fuck is this PDC? Like, is this the minor leagues kind of thing? Were you relieved that they thought enough of you that they're giving you some sort of opportunity? Because ultimately, they only selected 64 of you guys to do this. You're still
Yeah.
amongst a very select crew out of
Yeah.
thousands of applicants. I think there was what 90 of you guys, maybe total
Mhm.
selected. I mean, those are pretty good odds. So I mean, just kind of walk us through your mindset and what you were thinking when you first got that email.
Well, I got the email. It was a Monday. I remember because I was kind of mentally gearing up to go to the Monday Night Weekly, and I was bummed because I played really well last year, and my game went from kind of a lower level advance to really, I feel like, really having a shot to qualify through the qualifier. It didn't work out that way. So I was definitely bummed, but I understood that there's a lot of good cornhole players, and I just hadn't performed well enough in person at the qualifier and on paper to make it an easy yes, you're in. I needed to make my name a little more uh, well known, and so I actually didn't get the PDC invite until the following morning.
Okay.
And I was extra. So I'm assuming someone declined it or a pro dropped out and someone they moved someone around. So I'm not sure exactly how it worked, but I got the email the following morning, and I was extremely excited. I wasn't pissed. I wasn't disappointed that I didn't get pro and they put me in the PDC. I was excited, like, okay, here we go. I'm not going to let, because I'm looking at it like they're rolling the dice and taking a shot on me to say, all right, Matt, are you really ready? Because we're not sure. That's why we didn't pick you right away, but we're giving you a shot. And in my life, I've definitely had times where I got cut from the varsity or JV junior varsity soccer team, and had a conversation with the coach the next day, and he said, okay, I'm going to take a chance on you. By the end of the season, I was the team MVP, and really that putting that pressure on myself to not let the coach down. And I guess in this way, I'm kind of equating the ACL to the coach, or at least
Yeah.
Trey Ryder to the coach. That's how I'm looking at it. Like, I don't want to let Josh Keck and Trey Ryder and Stacy Moore down. So I'm going to try and use that as a motivation to get in, you know, on winning some big events, and that's my goal. It may or may not happen, but because there's some really good, like, as I've said several times, there's some really good players out there, including in the West Conference, and that makes it tough. But that's my goal. So
Now,
yeah.
are you going to remember your own advice from the qualifier to have some fun and go for an airmail when instead of try to push through all the back? Because listen, PDC, you guys are in a tough situation, right? Because you obviously, I think
Yeah.
that is going to be some of the best matches to watch going into every national. I really do. I think that first
Right.
bracket, because you
Yeah.
guys are first up, I think that's going to be really
Hmm.
entertaining to stuff because everyone's hungry, and you guys are potentially playing for nothing.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
there
we
is
have
there
we
is
have
some sort of money that you guys are going to win through that, but I mean, like, you guys are all playing for that spot in an open spot in a national. You're hoping that somebody gets sick. Like, I nobody no one
yeah.
no one's gonna say it out loud, but I'll say it for you guys. You guys are all hoping someone misses a flight, they can't make it there for singles or doubles.
Yeah.
Everyone wants that opportunity. Um, I just, are you going to remember your own advice and, take a breath and enjoy the moment? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
listen, nothing's ever guaranteed for next year. I mean, you might
that's
be
right.
invited PDC. I mean, you could have a PDC player for life. I mean, you could maybe get the call up next year. You never know. Or maybe they decide to move on to someone else. So are you mindful of that?
I think that I am, and I think that it's hard for me to take my own advice. As a medical provider, I'm always telling people what to do, and I'm not always the best at following my own medical advice. And I'm sure I do the same thing in the cornhole world. But I mean, I think this last weekend I did a good job of taking my time, thinking about every shot, not rushing into it, which was a big problem for me early last year. I settled down as the year went. And as far as having fun and going for airmails, I definitely had a couple big airmail drags, especially in doubles on Sunday. And
You guys did pretty well in doubles, right?
we went 3-2 on the day, so we
Okay.
did well. We just ran into some tough teams. I shot pretty well. I think my PPR was 9.72, and I had a couple games that were like 11-5 and 10, but I need to be able to maintain that because that's my game. Just clean up the board, get everything in the hole. I need to be able to maintain that. And when you run into someone who's either blocking really well or racing really well, it's hard to maintain it, and sometimes you just can't. And your hats off to the other guy or girl that can outplay you. But that's what I like getting into, is getting into those races, because if I can keep racing, I usually do well. So
All right, it's time to put your bag manufacturer hat on. And
all right.
cornhole company. There you go. It's already on. It's okay.
Yeah, okay, there we go. That's right.
Yeah, it's a nice looking hat, by the way.
Damn right.
Yeah.
I, like
I tried to have some new
logo.
ones coming in. What
Like,
was
can
that?
I ask you, were you on Facebook at all today?
A little bit. I was kind
Did you
of
happen
cleaning
to
up
see
the
that
garage.
random, I don't know if it was a joke. Did you see that bag? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I do. And yeah, you know.
Have you reached out to them at all?
So, I think that, like I've talked about with friends for years, the cornhole community is a tight knit community. We want
It is.
everybody to
It's like they're ripping
succeed,
you
and
off. I mean, they're basically taking your patch and turned it into a bag.
everybody wants
He's trying to be very professional, folks.
yeah. I'm trying to use my good bedside manner.
It is.
Ultimately, I've talked about this with Dave Brown, who's the director of Crown City Cornhole.
Okay.
Ultimately, the more we all promote each other within the
Correct.
sport, the more the sport grows, the better the competition, and the better the product, because it's going to evolve and whatnot. So I'm all for everybody using their own creative license, but when it comes to brand names, it gets tricky, and it's something that obviously bag manufacturers, just like anybody in business, need to protect their brand name, and that's kind of about it on that.
Listen. I had to at least bring it
It
up.
wasn't the
Listen,
question
I
I
love.
was going to ask.
Listen,
so.
I love your response. Though there's room for everybody to eat in a
Yeah,
sport that's
yeah.
growing so fast. There is, when we first started. So we'll call it. I'll say it out loud. Okay, so it'll make them happy. We were like second, right? Dogcast was first, and then
Mhm.
we came second. They supported us in the beginning. I've tried as best I can to help support anybody that ever needs anything after us, because listen, people are dying for any type of cornhole content. There's room for all of
Yeah.
us to eat. I think sometimes people forget that we become friends with a lot of these guys, and they always think it's like some cutthroat competition. Is there a little bit? Yeah, there's always going to be some innate like competition involved. But when it comes down to it, like, I want everybody to be successful in this. There's room for all of us to be successful. If we could all
Yeah,
just play
yeah.
nice, we can all
I
find
totally agree with you.
get our piece of the pie.
Yeah.
That's all we all need. You know what I mean? So, all right,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's
I'm sorry.
sidetracked way
I know,
off of the
I know,
question
I'm
I was going
sorry.
to ask him. And mine was pretty simple.
This is how my brain works. If
Yeah.
I don't say it right away, I'm gonna forget it unless I write it down. I didn't feel like grabbing the pen, so.
So
Oh,
as,
you're
a,
good.
as a cornhole company owner, I'm curious to see if you could sponsor any two players in the ACL, who would it be and why?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I like we talked about with the bag lines. I like kind of trying something a little different, being a little bit of a underdog, I guess, if you will. So, obviously having a Trey Birchfield or a Matt Guy or a Brett Guy would be fantastic for exposure, and they're going to throw any bag really well. I think I have to think about my answer a little bit more, but I'd probably choose someone a little more like an underdog, and that's trying to come up a little bit. So let me. Whew.
I'm trying to think of someone that I think that would be.
I got one for you. He's maybe not an underdog anymore, but last year he was definitely an up and comer. This kid can throw any bag because he throws the flattest bag in the world, and that's
Mhm.
Mr. Jimmy Humans.
Yeah.
I think he would actually throw this Magma money.
You know what? After throwing against him in the blind draw at the San Diego Open last year, definitely agree with you on that. I feel like people who can throw a really flat bag. We have a local pro here that she throws a really flat bag, and I would love for a player like that to get their hands on a Magma, because if they can slide and they can also do all those cool shots, the cuts, the flops, and the rolls, then they're going to take advantage of that bag because that's what it's meant for. And so yeah, I think Jimmy Ewens would be great. I think
It helps he's a nice kid too.
yeah, he's a nice guy, and that's what I would like. That's what when I'm looking at, like, because I'm still kind of, I don't want to name any names because they may have something else going on, but I have a couple local people that I'm kind of working with on the PDC pro level that may be on Team Magnum this coming year, maybe not. And like I always tell them, I want you to be happy as a cornhole player. I want you to be happy with the bags you're throwing, and if those happen to align and be my bags, then great. If they don't, then you need to throw what you need to throw. And I'm someone that, like I said earlier, I like to make things. I like to make things that people enjoy and succeed with, and I want everyone to be happy. I'm one of those guys that likes it when everyone is friendly at the event and you're fist bumping and you're cheering on your opponent when they're going for a big shot, even though it may knock you out of the tournament. A little bit, but not really.
Okay,
no,
right.
I'm more of someone who that I like to bring everyone up.
When you
so
play?
I don't. I like to hear.
Okay.
I like to hear everything. Yeah. Some
Okay,
people put the headphones in and I like to say, hey, good shot. So if they got the headphones, then they can't see. They leave me hanging sometimes. So I don't want to.
Awkward knuckles.
Yeah,
Shout out to Wally.
Yeah, awkward knuckles. Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
And
I'm more of a. Go ahead.
I mean, I've heard through the grapevine that there's not many Californians that talk shit on the cornhole boards, which, I mean, to me it's it's the land of love.
It is. I mean, out here it's a little different. Yeah, I mean,
par for the course there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
listen, I'm not. I'll be honest. I like that. It fires me up.
loud.
Actually, I like when someone talks a little shit to me and then I can hit a shot, because then that's just gonna get me focused. The example is we went to Cito Soto's cornhole tournament. I have already apologized to her. I actually apologized to her in person. I got into it a little bit. I said something to a female who wanted to go get a beer. We were waiting forever. I made a comment. Well, her husband started chirping at me. And I basically told him, like, dude, you're really bad at this. Like, you just stop while you're ahead, because, like, you're not going to win this battle of words kind of thing. And that it just got me so far. I'm like, we're not losing this. I don't care what we do. We're not losing this match. It gets me a little fired up. So I always find it interesting to find, do you like talking? Do you like, so you're more of you thrive on positivity kind of guy.
Yeah, I'm a glass half full guy. I'm definitely a positive guy. I definitely use when I hear this shit talk, and the guys that from this area know me, I think they probably tone it down around me just because they know that I'm not usually going to indulge in dishing it back as much. I maybe a little bit, very, very tongue in cheek with me. But when I do hear it, I definitely internalize it and wait for my moment and try and get it. Maybe I don't, and maybe the shit talk works for them. There's definitely sometimes when I'm just not feeling it, and the guy standing next to me is just, I got you. I'm going to get that 5 out. And then 5, and you're like, oh God, I suck today. That definitely happens.
I can handle that.
And
they
it's like
shit talk and I'm playing like garbage, I can handle it. What's worse for me is when they're really nice and I'm playing like shit. Like, I hate that. Like, it's like the patronizing tone. They're like, sorry, man, you're doing really well. I'm like, I fucking hate you.
It's like, yeah, you almost got that shot. Good job.
So you alluded to it, before we get into all the other cornhole stuff, you alluded to it. What do you, so you're cornhole superhero, right? So you're pro player manufacturer by nighttime, we'll call it. What do you do? What's your day job? You said you're a clinician of some sort.
Yeah.
What's your job?
I'm a physician assistant, which is I'm a medical provider.
Yep.
A lot of people don't know what a PA is, but I've worked in the emergency room as a PA. So I'm a medical provider. Yeah. What do you do?
I'm a physical therapist. I'm a rehab director for a pain management company. So I work with PAs
Oh,
every single
okay.
day.
There you
And
go.
you guys are basically
Yeah.
doctors without like, I mean, you guys just don't get any of the credit.
Yeah, and that's kind of the simplest way. I'm not a doctor. I never have and never will claim to be a doctor, even though some of my cornhole buddies will call me that. I kind of
Yeah.
have stopped telling them that that's not actually what I am. They know what I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a medical provider. I do all the to sum it up. I do everything that a doctor does. I just work for them. I technically work as their employee, and I see patients on their behalf. But in the ER, I see everything. I could be seeing a 75-year-old lady with chest pain. I could be stitching up. I suture all day long. Obviously, I'm good at sewing. I stitch up people all day long. I do central lines where you're putting a big, do big procedures and admit patients and send them to surgery, all that kind of stuff. And I've been doing that for 6 years. So I have my master's as a PA and also have a master's in public health. I don't really use that in a day-to-day way.
As you get
But
older, maybe you want to go more management side. That's when that'll come in handy.
yeah, it's kind of helpful. So I have my 2 master's degrees, and I am the lead PA at our facility, and
Okay.
so it's kind of, I do have a little bit more administrative
Now, is
responsibilities.
ER
Not
going to
a
be your
ton.
jam, or do you ever have? I mean, obviously you're a master sewer. You have any interest in going to surgery? Because I know a lot of PAs do the closing for surgeries and stuff like that.
It's something I thought about. I did have a ortho surge PA offer, PA job offer right out of school. It was in a part of the state that I just didn't really know anybody, didn't really want to live in the Central Valley of California. Nothing against it. It just wasn't where I wanted to be. I'm a
It's
San
not Southern
Diegan.
Cal, like we get it. Right?
Yeah, I want to come back to
We
Southern
get it.
California. I want to be. I live by the beach. I love it here. You're going to have a hard time moving me anywhere else. But I definitely enjoyed it while I was there, and so I thought long and hard about going for that job, because it would have been 2 or 3 days in the clinic seeing patients, and then 2 or 3 days basically being first assist in the OR. And yeah, helping with surgery and closing wounds and all that would have been a pretty good job. And so someday I may go that way. I'm definitely loving what I do in the ER. It's been a challenge over the last 2 years with everything that's been going on. There's
So
a
every
lot
day's
of
every day is different. You know what I mean?
every
That's
single
one
day is
thing that the
different.
ER
Yeah,
always offers as a perk. You know what I mean? Every day is a little bit different, so it's kind of
yeah,
nice.
Well,
yeah.
there's
Everything
two
every day.
things.
Yeah.
One, Dr. Magnum has a nice ring to it. I'm saying
I mean,
maybe that's what you got to coin yourself as. I think that has a nice ring. And two, yeah, I see your beautiful seam work on here. When are you gonna come out with a seamless bag? I know you know how to do it if you know how to do
I,
medical sutures.
I've thought about it, and I've talked with a couple people about it. Maddie King and I talked about it a couple of years ago, because he's done it, I think, just as a one-off to show off his skills, because he's the bagsmith. He's fantastic, and his bags are really high quality. It's something I've thought about. It would be difficult to do it on a large scale, at least the way I would do it. Probably not, but maybe if I could do a special edition. I don't know that there's a regulation about the closing seams all having to be exactly the same. So
Maybe to me, it's like maybe your personal set of bags just has, good luck
yeah,
someone calling you out on it.
yeah,
Even
yeah.
so we're gonna move on to one of our favorite segments. All right, it's called Fun Random Shit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This is random questions that we come up with. Sometimes some of them are listener questions.
Yeah.
So so I'm gonna start off with a listener question, because this guy comes up with fire questions for us every week. I got to give a huge shout out to Nicholas Howell. Every time I read his questions, I crack up, and I feel like I'm just gonna start stealing all of his questions, and I'll give him a shout out every week and just make him a fun random shit. He wants you to make an odd couple of cornhole. Okay, you have to choose two players that are unlikely to play together in doubles. That could be anything. It could be because they throw different bags. They look funny. I mean, one already comes to mind to me, like Justin Stranger and James Washington.
um.
Cannot get any different than those two kids. You know what I mean, together. But like, listen,
Yeah.
it's gonna work well this year. So if you had to come up with an odd couple for cornhole, what's it gonna be?
It may be someone who's it'd probably be something like personality wise, someone
Okay.
who's very quiet, reserved, like Trey Birchfield. I mean, when I played against that guy, I mean, I get knuckles from him, but I don't get much audio out of him. It's pretty,
He
whether he
doesn't
hits a
give us
great
much of
shot
an
or he
interview
misses.
either, so I mean, it's all right.
Yeah, so it'd probably be someone like that, and then maybe you partner him up with like an Adam Hisner, who's got like a very a very vocal personality. Everyone knows both those guys, and I feel like they're both fantastic cornhole players, and their play on the boards may actually be fairly similar.
It's funny
Hisner's
because those two play together a lot, because
Do they
they're
really?
from like they live pretty close to each other. So it's
Okay.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No,
I like that.
I
Yeah.
think my odd couple. I got to go with the assassin, Bob Vonch,
Okay.
and give me Noah Wooten. I'd love to see
There you
those
go.
two opposite ends of the board.
But Noah Moon has to wear jean shorts.
Exactly.
And New Balance.
Yes. Yeah. He's got to follow the Vonch way of dressing and, never be in trouble with that dress code or anything. But yeah, I think that'd be a fun one to watch together.
I always thought like Eli Stevens and like Maya
Cup.
Yeah. Somebody like
There you
she'd
go.
have to like
just a
show up like
monster and like just,
actually Eli would have to show up in a backpack on Maya Cup's back.
yeah, like
You
know,
like,
she
carries
Ace
him in, you
Ace
know?
Ventura when
Exactly,
nature calls, like
yeah.
she comes out like.
Well, see, I was thinking
fired up,
flip flop. Have Maya carry Eli in. She's strong enough. Let's be honest.
She is tough, man. She's
Yes,
fearless.
she's very
Yeah.
tough.
She's tough.
Yeah.
She's funny though. She's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Best cornhole advice ever given to you.
Best cornhole advice ever given to me. Probably I'm going to quote Daniel Resurrection out of San Diego, is just airmail that shit.
Love that dude.
When it comes down to it, just throw the bag in the hole because it's going to drag something. It's going to create some points somehow. Just airmail that shit.
Mr. Bang Bang, as we know him around here.
Mr. Bang Bang. Mr. Bangarang Bang Bang. Daniel's a personality and I love the guy.
Honestly, I think it was when I don't know when. That's when I decided to go back to all slick bags. Is when we actually had Trey Birchfield on as an interview, and I asked him a question like, "Listen, you go and you play all these different variety of players. Would you ever have a strategy going into a match?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "I'm literally trying to put every bag in the hole." He's like, "If a bag goes short and it's a blocker, he's like, it's just a bag that didn't throw hard enough." And I'm like, "Fuck that." I mean, why? If Trey Birchfield, the number one player in the world, is never trying to block. Why am I trying to block? Like, just put every bag in the hole. I mean, just think of it, keep it simple like
it's
that.
Not that simple.
It's not, but
it's
like,
not.
I listen. I just took that to heart. I loved it.
I learned mine from actually a TV show,
Of course.
and
Uh-oh.
it's a recent one that's many Americans love nowadays. But Ted Lasso, he said, "Be a goldfish." And I'm sorry, but goldfish for their memory. I think it's brilliant. You throw a bad shot.
Okay, I like that.
Goldfish only have a 1 second memory.
How do they
You
know
forget
that?
about that and turn around and go. Right? Isn't that a good?
Yeah, I want to know who figured that out.
Hey,
That's a
it's,
really
I
good,
like it though. It's
really
true.
good advice.
Actually, you know who else? Pat McCracken. Actually, one time on the Dogcast, he said
He
that
said aliens are real.
but I love
But not Bigfoot.
his phrase that he says to himself is "the next bag matters." I
Yeah.
love that. You know what I mean? So if you throw a bad shot, you just have to think like, all right, well, fuck that. Next shot matters. Because I had to really do it when I don't know if you're a golfer at all.
Not really. I like golf, but I just never
When
really
we
go
played,
golfing.
like I used to get very upset. My grandfather used to tell me, like, listen, you still have you still have to go up and hit the ball again. So I had to learn. And when I finally made the turn into like a decent golfer was when I was able to forget about the last shot that I hit shitty and just go on and just completely. And it definitely plays the cornhole.
You gotta
for
laugh
sure.
it off.
I mean, you get 4
Yeah.
bags. I mean, you can't. I mean, if your first one's bad, you still got 3 in your hand. You got to finish up.
Yeah, one of the things I try and tell people when they ask me if anyone's asking my advice is try and force a decision, because if you're trying to really elevate your game and beat someone who's better than you, if you can force them into doing something they weren't prepared to and having to think about it, you're going to end up winning that round, at least round by round. So if you can put a block on a slide guy, or if you can airmail over something they weren't expecting you to and force them, you're going to be golden, at least on that one round. If you can do it every round, then you're going to be as good as Trey, or Noah or whatever. But that's the advice I give. Force a decision.
So this is another. I'm going to give him credit because he came up with a question. Nicholas Howell question. I want to know, what is your Mount Rushmore of bags? Right. So we answered this question, and apparently I answered it correctly. You were way off. When we think
It's
of
my
Mount Rushmore,
opinion,
it's
man.
iconic, right? So it's like the 4 iconic bags of cornhole. When you think of that, what are the 4 bags that come to your mind?
Well, I'm taking my Magnum hat off and putting on just my player hat, because obviously I think my bags are great. I throw. Yeah. I'm a big fan. So if you want to go an OG, so Mount Rushmore, I really like the Cobras. I'm from San Diego, so the Ultra Cobras.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those were great bags. Yeah, Cobras and Cobra X's are great bags. I liked Matty King's early Razor bags. I forget the different models, but OG Razors were good bags.
Yeah.
I like the OG Vipers, as long as a guy doesn't have them too broken in where they're like falling out of your hand. I think those are a great bag. And let me try and get some love somewhere else in the cornhole world here. Um, the local, what are the local carpet bags that they, or not carpet bags, local
450s?
suede bags, the Mambas maybe,
Oh, the
Oh,
Mambas,
yeah,
they're,
the
yeah.
Mambas, yeah.
yeah, I think a partner and I won a regional 3 years ago with those, and those I thought were a good kind of traditional bag that you could slide, because that what goes on Mount Rushmore, right? You're gonna have something that everyone can use, and really represents what a good player can use to win a tournament. And I feel like a lot of those bags I listed, good players can use all facets of those bags. You can block, you can slide, you can airmail, and that's maybe before people were rolling,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
flopping, and something that I don't do. So for me, those would probably be some pretty infamous bags. Probably put
Oh,
up
yeah.
put up on a monument there.
So Mamba, so the local bags, we're sponsored by local bags, so thank you
Yeah.
for that. The
You're
Mambas
welcome.
were actually the first set of professional bags we ever owned, and
Okay.
they got delivered 2 days before our first ever like real cornhole tournament. So we
Nice.
found out like we had to have like bags. So we're like, oh shit! So I ordered them, got them delivered, and we didn't know how to break in bags or when they were broken in. We ended up going to
Mhm.
this tournament, and we were in like the social division, but there was social in advance. We ended up taking third.
Nice.
Throwing those things, and still to this day, we gave them to my dad, and every time we go out in the backyard, we still
Dude,
bust those things
that
out.
feels so
They're great
nice.
fucking bags. Like they don't get enough love, man. Like those, like they're great fucking bags. Love
Yeah.
them. So
No,
I
they
thank you.
they
That was perfect, and that was
yeah.
unsolicited people.
Yeah.
That was
You're
perfect.
welcome.
Yeah, for sure. He
I
took off
got
his
your
Magnum hat.
$50 coming your way.
For sure.
Okay.
All right. So last question: has there
Yeah.
been a player this year, or at least somewhat recently, that you've played that maybe is not on the radar of us, maybe like out here, that you thought that you played against and you're like, holy shit, they're really good. That maybe we have that we're not aware of that we need to be aware of.
Yeah. I think you may have mentioned him earlier, maybe not. But young guy out here from California, Brennan Ballard. He's in the PDC also.
Oh, so he's
The
not a pro.
kid.
So he's a pro, but I thought he had made. Okay, so he is PDC then.
Well, as far as I'm aware,
Okay,
unless
that could be
something's
true.
changed.
Listen, I haven't done all
Who
the
did we think
research.
he
So
was playing with?
what's that?
Who did we think he was playing with in doubles?
Well, this past weekend he was playing with Hunter Thorne.
Yeah.
With Hunter Thorne, I believe. Yeah.
I don't know who is.
Yeah, I'm not sure
playing
who
normally.
Thorne's pro partner
Now
is. Then.
he won doubles with some mountain of a dude, another young dude. I can't remember his name, but like 2-3 weeks ago they won. But he's really impressive. He can hit a lot about killer shots.
Yeah, he and then the other one I would say is the other young guy that we talked about, Moses Zazueta. Those two guys, they have different playing styles, but they're both amazing players. They're very consistent. They're well liked in the West Conference, and they're really really good players. So if you're not aware of them, you got to watch out for those kids, because they're already up here.
Yeah.
And the sky's the limit. I mean, it used to be like, when I would play against one of these guys, I'd be like, okay, just play your game, you're gonna get it. And now they're flipping it. They're like the 40-year-old guy just taking me to school. It's
So
pretty it's pretty impressive.
I hope that you said what you said is correct. I hope that Ballard is a PDC player because I've watched a bunch of his matches. I've watched a bunch of Moses matches. Moses strikes me more as a professional player now because at least on the boards, he seems a little bit more mature. Brennan can get a little bit animated on the boards a little bit, and I think that he just needs to harness that in a little bit. What struck me, and we said about it in our part of the interview, was, or our part of the episode, was that Moses has all the shots in his arsenal, but he plays so smart. Like he only uses those shots when he should use them.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and again, Brennan Ballard, he can hit all those shots. I think sometimes he overuses them and he tries to create scenarios where he has to use those shots when sometimes just putting bags in the hole is going to do way more than trying to hit some fancy roll shot. That's what Moses showed me this past weekend. That I was super impressed with how smart he played. But
Yeah.
he could still flash at times. He still showed the cut
Yeah.
and the roll but yeah, I it would not surprise me. And if that is the case, it just showed how well versed the selection committee was at selecting the players and putting them where they should be.
Yeah, I think Moses is a fantastic player. He has a very consistent game, and he does have all the shots. Brennan probably just brings out those shots a little more often, as far
Yeah.
as he typically throws a sticky bag and he's flopping and rolling. What's impressive to me is despite the fact that they're they're young, they're juniors, they have that cornhole IQ of when to dip into those bag of tricks, and it's something that I wish I was that smart on the board sometimes about when do I try something, when someone's forced me to make that decision, like I was talking about, when do I just say nope, play my game, or when do I say nope, now's the time to unleash a cut shot, when do I, is it this the right time? And that's why I love my partner Jody Lim, another PDC player.
Okay.
He coaches me up pretty good, and he doesn't ask for much coaching. I definitely ask a lot of him, and he always gives me the right advice, like go get that thing, or just he knows, and we played together so much, almost every tournament last year and so far this year. So he knows my shots, I know his shots, and that's a huge advantage. Yeah. Another guy out of the West Coast, Josh Thielen, is someone you may not have heard of. That keep your eye on the beat.
I'm just starting to hear his
beast.
name pop up a bunch, so it's gonna be somebody I'm gonna look into watching. Hopefully, he has some live stream stuff coming up, so I can watch him. But I've been hearing the name pop up a bunch.
Yeah, he got second. He and Corey Gilbert placed second in doubles at the.
Okay, that's who it was in doubles.
Yeah,
I knew Labrador and who was his partner?
Nick Williams.
I knew that they took third, I believe, because I think
so. Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't remember. I didn't think that they lost. Okay, that's who it was. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of good players, and I don't know who you've heard of and who you haven't. Josh qualified on points last year, and he's his nickname is the Beast, and he is a beast. He's got a very kind of like Moses, very consistent game, fantastic airmail, seems to always know when to throw the right shot. He's a really nice guy as well.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you very much for joining us. This was fun. We'll have to have you on the show again, like after the season ends and you qualify to be a pro and all that stuff. So we hope Magnum Bags blows up. I mean, I know you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, me too.
On a manageable scale, but this has been great. I thought that your insight as both a bag manufacturer and PTZ player, it's unique. I mean, I don't think there's anybody else that I can think of that's a PDC and bag manufacturer.
Not that I'm aware of.
Obviously, I know pro player and bag manufacturer Jeff Reynolds. But yeah, it's super unique. So I loved your insight. You're welcome back anytime you want. We love your bags.
Awesme.
So again, everyone check out magnumcornhole.com. Check them out. Again, if you're looking for something unique, you're tired of the same old shit that you're seeing all the time. I mean, you have unique stuff across the board here, so it's good stuff.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate it. I try and make a quality product. And I hope people find the value in the bags, and I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a blast, and I would love to come back on at some point in the future. So yeah, have me on.
Of course. And your audio quality was great. I mean, you have like the best
awesome
setup, I think, of any guest.
Yeah.
Ever had.
Thanks to my girlfriend. She has a great setup in her office here.
So you're not married yet. How old are you, by the way?
I'm 41.
Okay. All right. Good for you.
Yeah, you look like 20 years.
I was saying, that's why I had to ask you. I had no idea. I was gonna be way off.
I figured does that change it at all?
No, not at all. Like, listen, bald is beautiful.
Yeah,
man.
I'm gonna be there the next probably 2 weeks, so that's fine.
Yeah, I've been bald since I was like 22. So yeah.
So we'll let the people go at home, and then we'll have you hang on just for a minute. But for everyone else, again, we hope you throw it straight, and it's nothing but 4 baggers from here on out.
Cornhole it
later.